Welcome back to Franco Fridays. Today I've got a Franco classic film from 1969, and that is Succubus. Now, Succubus was actually produced and made in 1967, but I think the release was 1969. It's also known as Necronomicon, and that is the German title, the European title. The film was distributed by American International, and they changed the title to Succubus, apparently because they were concerned that American audiences wouldn't know anything about Necronomicon. Of course, we all do now, given the fact that the Evil Dead movies that came out, everybody knows Necronomicon. The film stars Janine Renaud, gorgeous Janine Renaud, who, with her husband, actually is in the movie as well, or her husband at that time. She was a model that Franco discovered, I think, somewhere in Germany or maybe Paris. I believe maybe it was Paris. She was a Paris model. Beautiful girl with a mature face. She was like 38 when she made this film. But for 38 years old, she's really, really gorgeous, and she's got a charismatic personality, perfectly suited for this film. This film was originally titled The Green Eyes of the Devil, and it marks really a demarcation point between where Franco, really as a result of Spanish censors who basically redlined the title of the film, the shooting title of the film, and redlined passages of the film, part of the script, kind of forced Franco to do the film in Germany and Portugal, and because before this film, really he was doing pretty much standard genre fare, crime thrillers and horror movies like Orloff that really kind of played by the rules, if you will. So really, the Spanish authorities, I think, were one of the main reasons why we see this turn into the esoteric, surreal Franco movies that we got with this film, and then going forward. Franco, in the 20-minute interview that's included in this Blue Underground release, said quite frankly that this film was a moment in time when he felt most free, and he felt most free really as a result of the Spanish censors forcing him to operate somewhere else. Basically, they banned his film. Looking back on it, it's totally ridiculous. I mean, it's relatively tame, whether you look at it as a horror film or erotic, surreal, sex, psychological thriller. No matter how you look at it, it's a very tame film with today's eyes. But be that as it may, Franco looks at this as a turning point, and it certainly was, because this is the first of a series of films where the lines of reality are clearly blurred, and the mix of sadomasochistic, Marquis de Sade type themes, coupled with mind control, murder, sex, all those themes are played out in this film, and then it would go on to play variants of the same thing going forward in other films. Janine Renaud plays Lorna, which ironically, Lorna, the name, would later there would be a film Franco would do, Lorna the Exorcist. Janine is a nightclub actress, and the film starts out with her basically performing an S&M act with two individuals kind of tied to a crucifix as if they're going to be crucified, and she basically plays like she's going to murder them. Very, very Marquis de Sade-ish, very sadomasochistic. But it turns out that Janine is actually under the influence and control of this Svengali-like character that is forcing her to commit murders, or maybe not. Part of the beauty of this film is it has no clear-cut story. It's not a linear progression, and again, that's where I think Franco's clearly going off into a new direction with blurring the lines of fantasy and reality, real and surreal, and this film is really Exhibit A for that. A lot of people would look at this film and say it's really a great example of a paranoid person. Psychologists, I think, have actually used this at universities, this film, to display paranoia type traits. You could look at that as or you could look at it as a simple situation where this woman is really a psychotic serial killer. And she's dreaming about this Svengali-like character controlling her and making her do things that she wouldn't normally do. It's an interesting first foray into the surreal imagery that we're going to see in all the films of the 70s from Franco. You get a host of beautiful shots. The film was shot in Lisbon, Portugal, basically the shores of Spain, and then it was also shot in Berlin. So some of the nightclub scenes and city scenes were shot in Spain. So the sets of this thing are just beautiful. Also returning in this film is our buddy Howard Vernon, who plays this admiral who gets seduced by Jeanine Renaud, and Jean Renaud subsequently kills him, basically stabs him with like a pin to his eyeball. And then Jack Taylor, in his first role with Franco in a Franco film, is Jack Taylor. Apparently Jack Taylor was a sculptor by profession, and then he got discovered by Franco and these German producers of the film. And once they made this film together, of course, we know Jack Taylor went on to do all kinds of films. He has a 7-minute interview in the extras of this Blue Underground release as well. So you got the film plus a 22-minute interview with Franco, and then you've got a 7-minute interview with Jack Taylor, which both is excellent extras. The picture quality on this is soft. It really is soft. I'd like to see a Blu-ray come out of this. I think this is not the greatest DVD that's been put out. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't look much better than a VHS rip. But I'll leave that for you to decide whether you agree or not. At any rate, that is Succubus by Jess Franco, and I highly recommend it. I think it's an 8 out of 10 movie, and if you like his other surreal fantasies from the 70s, you're going to love this. This really was the groundbreaking surreal film that kind of started it all, or at least put Franco clearly on the path to a whole different kind of freeform genre filmmaking. So I definitely recommend Succubus and this Blue Underground release, at least until we can get a Blu-ray of it. At any rate, that'll wrap up Franco Fridays, and I appreciate you watching.